Good morning, everybody. Silas back today. I know my voice kind of sounds a little bit hoarse, and that's because it is freezing cold out here. But I finally had a few minutes to go mushroom hunting, so I thought I better just take it. And of course, I forgot my microphone, everything at home. So all I've got today is my phone. So this is kind of an old school video right here. It may not be the greatest quality audio. It may not be the greatest quality video, but we're gonna have some fun doing some mushroom hunting today. I just got out here and I already found some mushrooms. It's been super dry. So I was getting really worried. I mean, it's been so dry out, but then we got a bunch of rain the other day and a little bit of snow even. And I thought that's just what we needed. These mushrooms are gonna pop now. So I came out here and I don't know if you can see them, but right down there, there's a whole cluster of them. I already picked one that was over here, but I'm gonna kind of look through this area right here first and then we'll keep on going. Here's a couple here. You can kind of see the tip of this one here. It's starting to get brown. That's from that really dry spell we had, and it was hot and windy and dry. And so it almost killed them. That rain saved them. So I'm super excited. Every time you find mushrooms, if you find one or two like this, you always get down at ground level and you look around. And then boom, just like that right there. There's 4 of them right there in that little cluster. And you just kind of scan the area down at ground level and see if you can find any more. Oh, there's one over there. I can see it from here. Probably can't see it on camera. But that's how you find more, is if you can find one, there's usually more in that area. And here's 2 more. You always got to look real close. Like this one here is hiding underneath a stick, little tiny one. These aren't very big, but if you look at them, you can see that they almost didn't make it. You know, normally I would leave these to let them grow, but there is no rain in the forecast, and so they're probably just going to go ahead and dry up and die if I don't go ahead and pick them. So I'm for sure going to go ahead and pick whatever I find today. Yeah, look at those there. Man, those are really bad. I'll have to cut the tip off of that one. Still usable, the bottom half anyway. And once they do that on the top, they won't grow anymore. The bottoms might grow a little bit, but the tops will never grow again. I'm gonna keep looking through the trees, see what all I can find, and stick around, because at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you how to cook mushrooms, or at least how I like to cook mushrooms anyway. Man, last year in this area, I was finding tons of them right about this time actually, and I'm not finding any in this area this time. I hustled over here and I thought for sure I'd find at least a few, but I don't see anything, even dried up ones. Out in the eastern part of the state, they've been finding quite a few. They've been having pretty good luck out there, but they've been getting lots of rain out that direction. Here in the part of the state where I'm at, kind of in the central part, we've been barely getting any rain. And morels really don't grow much further west than here because they need that rain. And we're kind of right at that borderline where some years we get the rain, some years we don't. I think it was about 5 years ago, we got bunches of rain. And boy, that was a bumper crop year. I would come out of the woods with 4 or 5 bags full. And sometimes I'd run out of bags. They'd all be packed full. So I'd have to take my t-shirt off underneath here. And I'd have to tie the bottom of it closed and the sleeves closed and use it for a bag and carry mushrooms in that. And I'd come out carrying 20 pounds of morels out of the woods, out of one area, without even having to get the truck and drive to a new spot. So I like those years. This year, no matter what happens, will not be like that. It's too late in the season now. It's just not going to happen. I'm hoping we can get one more good rain and maybe late season will be good. But at this point in time, it's not looking like that's going to happen. I'm not having any luck finding any more mushrooms, but check this tree out. I don't know what's going on here. It's got some sort of tumor growing on it. That's kind of crazy. That is so interesting. Huh. It's pretty good size too. I mean, there's my hand. I don't know what caused that, but that's definitely an interesting thing that I've never seen before. Normally this little creek right here has water in it, and this area here is kind of soggy and wet. It's a real low area, and then morels grow all around the edge of it. They grow all through all these trees right here, just this whole area. But I'm not seeing anything this year. I don't even see any moss growing this year, and even the pine needles are falling off these evergreens. They're just getting so dry. I was blown away how much water one of these things drinks. It was like 5 gallons a day. There's some mushrooms. Now every year I have people send me pictures of mushrooms like these, and they say, hey, I found these, and these here are kind of old, but they'll find fresh ones that look a little bit nicer than these, and they'll say, hey, can I eat these? And I'm like, well, technically in the same way that you can eat wood, it's not very good, and there's no flavor at all. It literally tastes like wood, and those are hard as wood, so really they have no purpose other than just to grow on the trees. So I would consider them inedible. I hopped in the truck and I ran to a new spot, and this spot here usually grows mushrooms pretty good Although I'm not really seeing any this year, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but once again, it's probably just because it's so dry. There we go. There's one growing. Usually there's a ton of these. I mean, I'm not talking one or two. I'm talking like 30 or 40, and they're usually huge, which this one here is pretty good sized. If I can get to it, all these trees. But look at that thing. That's a Gyrometra, if I can say it right. Gyrometra caroliniana is what that is right there. But you can see my hand next to it. It's pretty good sized mushroom. And it looks pretty dried out, so I'm not going to pick it. I'll just go ahead and let it finish its cycle. But normally, this whole area is covered in those. They grow like carpet in this area. But I think that's the only one this year. It's kind of crazy. Hopefully they grow again next year. Over here, I see two little tiny baby morels. I really don't even want to pick them. And in fact, I don't think I'm going to pick them. But I'll go over there and show them to you. That's probably the smallest one I've seen all year. Look at these little itty bitty babies. I mean, teeny weeny. There's my finger. I mean, little tiny thing. There's one there. There's a tiny bit bigger, but not much. But those aren't even cookable. I mean, technically they would be if you cooked them in like a... But those aren't even cookable. I mean, technically they would be if you like sauteed them in with some other mushrooms and use them on top of a steak or something like that. They'd be edible, but I'm not going to worry about picking those. I'll leave them there. They probably haven't even released their spores yet. They're so tiny, so they may have. I don't know. They don't have to be very big to release their spores, but I'm just going to leave those. If we do happen to get some rain, I'll come back in a week or so and pick them then. If we don't get rain, they can just go ahead and finish their life cycle out here. I have found morels over there before by those trees, but the problem is that those trees are completely surrounded by thorn bushes, and they are not easy to get in there. So on a year like this, where there's probably not any there, I'm not going to fight my way through all those thorn bushes. So those can just wait if there are any there. Finally, normally this area I'm in right now grows them by the bucketful, even on bad years. They usually grow in here pretty good because this is right next to a creek, and the creek has a little bit of water. It's low, but it does still have a little bit of water. But I finally found one. I get through here. I finally found one lonely mushroom down here. Man, these tree branches keep smacking me in the face, tearing my face up when it's cold like this and a tree branch smacks you, it hurts. But that's probably the biggest one I found all day. Actually, it's still pretty fresh, so that one would have kept growing, but it's the only one. I may not come back to this area again this year, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it. But normally this time of year, I would consider that there a small one. So for that to be my biggest one I found so far is pretty sad. But we'll see what happens. If we get some rain, some warm temperatures, then I'll come back in about a week. And this is why you always get down on your knees and scan around at ground level. Sometimes I will literally almost lay on the ground just so I can scan the horizon across the ground. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm sure you can't. But straight in front of me over here is another one about the same size as this one. So I'm going to go over there and pick it. Oh, right into a thorn bush. Ow. Oh, I should have looked up. Oh, right into my head. Ow. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt. Do you see it right there? There it is. It's so cold out here that I've got my hood on my head, keeping my head covered up, keep the wind off of me. So I didn't look up, and I didn't see this bad boy. There's some big old thorns. Ouch, that hurt. Whew. If there's any more mushrooms in there around that bush, that's a big old bush. That whole thing is nothing but thorns over there. But yeah, if there's any more mushrooms in there, they're going to wait until I come back the next time because I'm not going through there again to look for small ones. Here's the creek I was telling you all about that runs through here. Now, normally, this creek's a whole lot deeper. Usually where all that grass is at is underwater as well. And so out here in the middle, it's about 3 foot deep. But right now, it looks like it's about 6 inches deep. But I'm going to go ahead and cross over the creek and check this side over here. I've never actually found mushrooms over here in the past, but this has been a weird year, so maybe they moved to a new spot. I've actually never come this far up the creek before. So I'm in uncharted territory right now. I don't know if there's anything in this area or not. I have never been in this area ever. I've been coming out here for, man, 20 years or more, since I was a little kid. And I've never been to this area, so this is kind of neat. Kind of going on my own unique little adventure today. If nobody else enjoys this video, I sure did. One year about, when was it? It would have been about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I wasn't finding a whole lot of mushrooms, so I went and checked a new spot. And I was just hiking up a creek, kind of like I'm doing right now. And I found an area about 20 feet by about 10 feet. They were growing like carpet, and they were huge. Some of them were 6 and 7 and 8 inches tall. Just massive mushrooms. And I picked, I don't know how many pounds out of that area. And the only reason I found that is because I got out there and I put the miles in, and I hiked and I hiked and I hiked until I found it. I found some sort of fun guy. He doesn't look very fun anymore though. I'm not sure what that was. Finally, I finally found one. Boy, I have been hiking for 45 minutes to find this lonely mushroom. I can get in here and get it. Ouch. There it is. I'll have to rinse that one off really good, or else that'll be a crunchy mushroom there. But it's still pretty fresh, really. You just never know. There's probably some more hidden in these leaves that just haven't quite grown up out of the leaves yet. Once again, just scanning around on the ground, I was able to find one over here. Now, there's no way you'd ever see that just walking around. Right there. A little bit sun-scorched, but it'll do. I was about to give up and leave from this area, and I looked down just as I was walking out, and there's one right here. See, I'm sure there's more through this grass. Well, I was walking back and I found one more, but I was on the phone, so I couldn't record picking it. So I just went ahead and picked it, searched around, didn't see any more. Went ahead, put it in the bag and kept going. I'm at a new spot now. I've been walking around for a little bit, haven't found anything, but I finally found one. It's been the story of my life today. I barely even saw it. Little lonely one hanging out down here in the dirt. I guess it's not that little. That's a good eating one there. There we go. I've never checked this area. Actually, I take that back. I checked this area last year and I didn't find any. But this year, I found a couple so far. Where's it at? I just saw it from over there. Now I can't see it. It's hiding from me. That's why they call it mushroom hunting, is these things will hide from you. Oh, there it is. Right there. It takes more work to hunt for these things than it does for deer and stuff like that. If I want a deer or a squirrel or a rabbit or something like that, I just go out in the backside of my property and shoot one. These things, I gotta look for these. All right, it's about mid-morning now. I've got to head out. I've got some stuff I got to take care of today. I don't want to deal with it, but I have to deal with it. Tomorrow's Easter, and so I got to take care of it today. But you guys don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of all that. And then this evening, hopefully, as long as I get everything else done in time, I'll come back and I'll cook all these. Now, I know you're looking at me like, Silas, why are you using a plastic bag? Now, if you know about mushroom hunting, I usually recommend you don't use plastic bags because the mushrooms sweat and it's just not a good way to keep your mushrooms. However, this is actually the second time I've gone morel hunting. If you watch my other social media, you may have seen I posted last weekend about how I went hunting for some mushrooms, and I found just a few, and I left my mesh bag laying on top of the counter, and I don't know where my wife put it. It's my fault. I left it laying there, but she was sound asleep when I left this morning. I didn't want to wake her up to find out where it was at, so all I had available was this right here. Well, I had some unexpected stuff come up, and I got home much later than I thought I would. So I'm not actually gonna have time to cook these tonight, but I'm gonna go ahead and start the prep process. So what you wanna do is you wanna just chop them in half. On ones like this, you can see I don't always save the base off of them. There's not a whole lot of flavor in that, and a lot of times it's covered in dirt. I haven't rinsed these or anything, it's straight out of the bag. Chop them off like that. It's a whole lot easier when you got two hands, but I left my tripod at work, my little tripod. And I've got my big tripod here. Chop it just in half like that, but I don't have the mount to put my phone on. So you take them off, and you see all these little black dots right here that are jumping around? Those are bugs. They live in these mushrooms. And that's why you have to rinse them off. Technically, I guess you don't have to rinse them off, but I mean, I guess that's free protein, but you just at least want to get the dirt off. Then you have other ones like this one here, how it kind of has that tip that got dried out. It's all blackened like that. You obviously don't want to eat that, so you just chop it off just like that. Turn it sideways like that, and chop it just like that. Boom. So I've got quite a few of them chopped here. I'm gonna go ahead and chop the rest of them up, and then I'm gonna get them rinsed off. And there we go. Got them all chopped up, ready to go. Now you can just rinse these off in the sink, but that wastes a lot of water in my opinion. There's no reason to really do that. What you do is you just get a bowl like this, you fill it up, you take the mushroom. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, like I say. If you're really, really, really worried about the bugs, you can soak these in salt water overnight. It'll kill the bugs off and they'll just all float to the top. But I don't worry about the bugs. You'll never taste them. We just kind of do that, and you can kind of see there it finished rinsing it off. Looks like there's a couple bugs, a couple specks of dirt. Now that mushroom there is clean. Since I'm going to be prepping these tomorrow, I'm just going to go ahead and throw them in this bowl. If I was going to be taking longer to prep them, what I would do is I would go ahead and dry them off as best I could with a paper towel. I would lay them out on a paper towel, and dry them off. Then I'd put them in a paper bag and put them in the fridge. But just since it's gonna be tomorrow when I cook these, I'm not gonna worry about all that. And there we go, they're all rinsed off, ready to go. Now I'm just gonna leave them like this. So the reason why you don't wanna soak them, or I don't like to soak them, is because it does leach the flavor out. So if you do soak them, try not to soak them for too long, or else you will soak some of that flavor out of them. All right, it's the next day now. I got my mushrooms ready to go. I rinsed them down a little bit just to get them moist. I've got my egg whisked in a bowl. I've got some flour in a bowl, and then I have a plate to put them on when I'm done. It's a pretty simple process, really. All you do is you take a mushroom, get one out like this. Now, it's a little bit easier to do two-handed, but the first one I'm just gonna do one-handed. You put it down here in the egg, you just roll it over. It's a messy job, but that's okay. That's what soap and water's for. You don't want too much egg on them, or else they get really, really eggy. So you just roll them in the egg, you kind of bounce off the extra, then you put it in the flour, roll it over a few times, and boom, done like that. You lay it on the plate. I'm gonna go through and bread all these up, do the same thing as I did on that one, and then I'll show you how to cook them. There we go, got them all breaded up, and it may not look like there's a lot of flour on these, but there is. It's just soaked into the egg. After they've set on the plate for a minute, that's kind of what they look like. You don't want to put too much flour either, or else they're really bready. You'll ruin the flavor of the mushroom. You mainly want to have the flavor of the mushroom. Just the flour and the egg makes it taste even better. Now, some people like to season their flour, put salt in it, whatever. You can do that, but I like to season them to taste after they're done. If I feel like they need salt, then I'll add a little bit of salt later. But I think between the butter that we cook them in the pan and the egg and the mushroom itself, that's plenty of flavor. Next up, you gotta preheat your pan, put some butter in it, let it melt down. I went ahead and put 2 tablespoons of butter in here just because there's quite a few mushrooms. Normally I don't cook that many at once, but I won't have time again the rest of this week to cook them, so I'm just gonna cook all of them tonight, and then I can save the ones I don't eat and reheat those later. Then once you got your pan preheated, all you gotta do, grab a mushroom like this, just drop it in there. And I'll go ahead and put all these in here, and they'll go ahead and cook for a little bit, and then I'll flip them over and cook the other side. And you're gonna wanna cook them till they're kind of a golden brown on both sides. Then you know they're good to go. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes on each side to fully cook a morel, and you do wanna make sure you fully cook them. If you don't fully cook them, they do have a toxin in them that will make you sick. I always just use a fork to flip them over. It seems to be the easiest, but once you flip them over, you just let them cook for about another 4 minutes on the other side, then they're good to go. And I just take them and I throw them on a plate with a paper towel on it to kind of soak up some of the excess butter. I'm on the second batch of them now. I didn't have room in the pan for all of them the first time, but I had a few left over that I didn't have quite enough egg for, so I'm just gonna go ahead and saute those up just like they are. I love sauteed mushrooms. I don't usually eat them by themselves. I like to eat them on a hamburger or something like that, but there's just a few, so I'm gonna go ahead and cook them up. There we go, I am done cooking them. As you can see, when you saute them versus frying them, they shrink way, way, way down when you cook them by themselves. And that's why they're always good to put on something like a steak or whatnot. Now, if you've never eaten morel mushrooms, you should never eat more than 1 or 2 or 3 on the first time you ever eat them, just in case, because some people do have an allergy for them. You don't want to make yourself sick on them, because then you'll always have a bad connotation in your mind on them. I've eaten them for years, though, with no ill effects, and so I've already actually chowed down. I've eaten probably half of the first batch that I cooked, so I probably should just stop for the night. I don't want to overdo it. Just the first ones I've eaten of the year, so I was super excited. But these will keep in the fridge. I can go ahead and put them in a Tupperware container, put them in the fridge. I can just reheat them up later, and they'll be okay. They're not as good as when you cook them fresh, but they'll still be good. Okay, seriously, I have to stop eating these. I've eaten way too many already. It's way too late at night to be eating fried food. So with that, I'm gonna let y'all go. I absolutely love these things. They may not look like much, but boy, they are so delicious. They grow almost every spring, and they grow in most of the country, not all of the country, but much of the country grows these. So depending on where you're from, just do some research, see if they grow around you. If they do, you should definitely get out there and try to find some. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, something a little bit different. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up, let me know. I might have time to do 1 more of these this year. We'll see. As always, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and remember to get out there and find an adventure. We'll see you next time.